Okay, so this is meeting 21 for HVRE project codename Sparkle Kitty so far. So it looks like we have, I'm here, Zach's here, Shay's here, and David. Anybody else? That's all I see currently. Go ahead and say hi, guys. David, are you there? Oh, nope. There you are. Okay, so briefly, we'll try to keep it quick today. I'm going to update this link for our recording. That's actually on YouTube, and the meeting notes are the previous document of this, so I'll update these later. Don't use those. So we're still working on refining the scope, and I wanted to talk today mostly about the design documents. We talked a little bit about that last week, where we decided that it would probably be best to try to use one document for everybody instead of multiple documents in a lot of places. It's going to help people be a little less confused about what the game is and what's going on. And I wanted to kind of talk to you guys briefly about the fact that that there are two types of design documents, and I think people really only think about the first one, and I totally didn't mean to do that. So there's a pitching or explaining document that's often used for funding or pitching your game to a crowd or an individual, or just explaining it to a team. This is usually only 10 to 15 pages. It's not very long. It's extremely refined to the most basic information needed to understand the game. And it's a clean document that's nicely tabulated and has good grammar, and you know it's a nice document. It's like a report. So that's one type of document. But what we need is a working design document. It's alive. It will change daily. Everybody will be interacting in it. It's a communication tool. And it can be as long as we need it. Just, you know, keep putting stuff in there if it's helping. Don't leave things in there that aren't accurate anymore. So you delete things when they're done, and you put new things in when you make changes. And what I'm talking about with the index, all of these are live. So if you use, if you need to add a header, such as I had to do that for working definitions here, I used heading 4, and that will automatically, whenever I go up to the index and refresh, it'll delete the old index and create a new one. But that'll automatically be in there because you used a heading text. Does that make sense? Are y'all following me? So if you make a header for one of your headings, right? You use the heading text for one of your headings. It'll show up in the index, and then later you can use it to go directly to that by clicking on it. So we can make this as long as we need it. Don't be afraid to paste stuff in here, okay? This can be 1,000 pages long. We have the index. We can use the index to find things. But this is going to be our main communication device, and everybody's going to be able to go through that. And each of you has, we have the leads in here today. Each of you has your own department. So Shay, you've got a technical team lead, Shay. It's already called that. If we go to that one, You have stuff in here that I've already kind of started to make changes, but feel free to create whatever you need here. These are just suggestions from there's a design document builder. I can't remember the name of it at the moment, but some of this came from that. Some of it came from other online resources. The document here is just a template that we created from a variety of things, but it's just a suggestion. So if team technical needs other things in here, create them by all means. I think some of the things that are important to know is, it's going to be on Android. It's going to be published on Google Play. What version of Unity are we using? Links to repos, etc. That's going to be helpful. So Shay, that's your area. Feel free to put stuff in it, and you and your team members can discuss how you want to use it for, technical. Same thing's true for art. We've got the paper bag again. Same thing's true for art. If you guys go to the artwork heading, you've got some stuff in here suggested already: character design, level design, etc. If you need help with some of this, like some of these suggestions, and you want to know what it is, you might need to talk to the technical team and have some conversations with defining the technical requirements, so that when people make characters, they know what they need to address in order to meet those requirements. And that's why that's in there. But otherwise, however you want to arrange this, just remember that if you create headings, that's a header 3, that's a heading 4. Those are going to show up in the index so that you can find it easily. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, awesome. So now we have a design document that I think the consensus last week was that this was a good idea. Is that still the feeling now? Okay. So design and art are two different things. And if those things that you're posting in the forum, you can post here. So if you want to say, okay guys, here's what this character looks like this week. I should have used the index, sorry. So if you've got character 1 is Sparkle Kitty, and you want to post the current picture for Sparkle Kitty and what Sparkle Kitty looks like, that would be the place to put it. And if you want, you can use suggesting mode up here so that it creates an icon, and we can go over this during the meeting. So it gives us kind of a point to go over during the meetings. Does that make sense? Or if you need to talk about it with another department. And you don't, we don't have to go through everything in the meetings. That's just if you feel like you want to go over it during the meetings, or if you want to go over it with an affected department. So somebody that is affected by the changes that you've made, you may want to use that suggesting mode, so that it'll give you one of these so you can go over it. It'll remind you that you made that change. Does that make sense? So, Zach, I think that anything that you're using to communicate with anybody should go through this document. Does that make sense? The difference? Okay, so this is kind of your dictionary. This is where everything gets defined. Okay. Whenever you get work done on something, I think this should be updated weekly. So if you're working on something, I think it should be in here because what you're working on affects other teams. And this is what they're going to be looking at. Now, the meeting agenda is just a list of items we need to talk about. This is just a list. You're not going to paste your images in here. But if you're going to paste your images anywhere, paste them here so that we can talk about them and look at them and see how they affect us. Yep. Nope, you can delete them as you go. This should be the most up-to-date information. So it's a working document. It's a repository. Think of it kind of like a repository. We're going to put things in here as we update them. And if something changes, delete it. You know, if there is no character one, delete it. And if we need to, I mentioned that in here, if the idea, or no, I didn't mention it in here. If the idea is that you're afraid to overwrite previous information, we can save this out each week. And that way we have something to refer to. So today I can save this out as, is there in Google? Okay. So we can use that if we need it. This needs to just feel free to delete things. Feel free to add things. If you feel like it's something that needs to be discussed, use the suggesting mode. And that's pretty much it. This is your document as much as it is anybody else's. Okay, good. Good. That was my hope. I really want you guys to be comfortable using this. This doesn't need to look pretty. It just needs to be useful. It's helpful if it makes sense. So, you know, if you start getting stuff in here that doesn't have like a logical progression as far as like lists and things go, then it might get confusing for people and you might need to rearrange stuff. But get it in here and we can talk about it. It doesn't have to be pretty. And that's most of what I wanted to talk about today. We didn't get to meet this week. On Tuesday like I wanted to. I apologize for that. I had a gallbladder attack and it was killing me. So I wasn't going anywhere doing anything. Yeah. Yeah. And I would, if there are any suggestions from those of you in the room now or those of you that might be listening later, and it might even be worth putting in the general right now, like any suggestions on how we can do the paper testing with people that aren't available to be nearby, that would be appreciated. I think the video recording was actually really nice. I wish that the audio was a little louder. It was a little bit long, so if we could do shorter sessions, that'd probably be helpful. But I think that, you know, at least the people that are in the room understand what's going on better, and the people watching can understand what we did better. They won't get to contribute during the interaction, which is what I would like to try to correct. And so if there's anybody that has like ideas, I know there's probably apps out there where we can make virtual cards and talk about things on the fly. Maybe something that sketches things so that we can sketch interactively online. That'd be cool. Anyway, throwing that out there, I'll put that on the agenda for notes. Anyone? And if everybody has Photoshop, that'd be fine. We could work with that. Because a lot of people do these days. Okay. So going back up here, I probably should have put this in the new stuff, but whatever. Okay, so design document. I did do some stuff in here that I'd like to talk about briefly. Or if you want to go through it and just, like, Shay, I made some suggestions in the team technical area. If you're okay with it, you can accept the suggestion. Here, under target audience and platforms, I made a note. I'm not sure what our target audience is, and this is a Justin thing. I think we need to get Justin involved with this, but some market research might be good for, you know, who plays these kinds of games. I might be able to help out with finding places to get that information. But our target platform is easy, and I'm, you know, just type that in here. And wanted to mention, we talked about this a little bit during the playtesting session and last week. To make localization unnecessary and to open the game up to more people, it's best to develop the game without words. So using icons, sounds, animations, those kinds of things to communicate as much as possible would make it so that we don't have to change the language at all. And it opens it up to more countries. So no matter what the target audience is, they're going to be in multiple countries. And if we can get away from actual text, I think that that'll help. And it's also more, you know, emotive and invokes the feeling of trying to get to know a cat that doesn't actually speak any human language. So it's sort of just a discovery thing. If you guys disagree with that, then that's fine. But that was a suggestion that I was making towards making it simpler for localization. Also, it makes it a little bit simpler because you don't have to worry about copy. So you don't have to write text, and you don't have to test different ways of saying things. And you know, my understanding is that people don't read more than 8 words at a time on any game anyway. So if there's more than just a few words on the screen, they're going to ignore it and just click on. So a lot of that typing gets ignored anyway. Yep. Emotions, like, yeah. Yeah, you can use animated symbols, animate the cat to evoke response, colors, things just flashing, those kinds of things. If you need to get people to do something in a series, maybe during the tutorial, instead of saying, oh, now you need to go do this, you just highlight an element, the next element that they need to do. And during a tutorial, the language gets picked up really quick. Like, they're just following the highlighted elements and going through the process once. And they'll go through that process, and then they'll remember that process for the next time. So you don't have to do that every single time. But it's a little more intuitive. I think some people have a hard time understanding a lot of verbiage. I don't know. It's just a thought. It's up to you guys in the end, but I think it sort of cuts out. It's another one of those trimming things. I think it'll help out in the end with making things a little simpler. All right. So yeah, there was that, and then I went through and I apologize, Alexandria. Your information is still available. If you go into Design Archive, that is the old document that Alexandria had added stuff to. I am not deleting it. It's there available if you need to copy things out of it. But for clarity, I started off trying to delete little things here and there, and it got too difficult and became a huge mess, and there was like 50 of these things running down the page. So instead, I deleted that section. I added the things that we came up with during our paper testing session. If you guys want to go over that in your own time, feel free. Let me know if you have any suggestions. Use the suggesting mode to type different things in there. But this was the understanding I got from collaborating with you guys on the paper testing for interaction. So actually, these are just defining those things here. I've created a section for working definitions to define things so that we have common words to use when talking about things. So the mood was the cat meter, the happy, sad cat meter, essentially. That may or may not ever show up in the game, but just as far as like having common terminology, I defined it as mood. These are the things that we talked about as possibilities for expressing that mood, interactions, and how those work, reactions from the cat, and how those work. And then I got into, okay, we talked about having a cooldown for each interaction. If the cat's super unhappy, maybe it hides in the tower, maybe it leaves when the app is closed. If the cat is super happy, what kind of, something special happens. Maybe the player gets a reward. Maybe this is how you level up the cats or the player. And then defining the scene and a session, so that while we're talking about sessions, you know what we're talking about. Items, how they're used, how they wear, effects, etc. So this is how I've defined it after the discussion that we had with the paper testing. If you guys want to look at that, let me know if you need any changes or change it with the suggestion mode and we can talk about it. I put our main goals in here as interaction with the cats using interactive toys and affection as being number 1. That's the first thing that we're concentrating on. After that, we want to work on attracting and possibly detracting cats for player collection by collecting items for crafting items, and finally placing combinations of toys, treats, and towers to do that. And then finally, maintenance. So it's maintaining cats to farm rewards by providing enough of what they like, maybe to level them up, maybe to do other things. I talk about that more down here. And I think this is really important to define kind of what we really want to do before we move on to design documents and a lot of this other stuff. We want to get this solid so that you guys know what the game is. Does that make sense? Okay. So I think goal 1, cat interaction, we just need to test some of the stuff that we talked about. Player, and I talk about this as assumptions. These are the things that we're assuming, and this is what we need to test those, we need to test those assumptions. And then how do we plan on addressing them? Like, players will enjoy discovering how interactions work. That's an assumption. They may find it annoying once we test it. How do we plan on addressing these? So how do we plan on testing it? How do we plan on implementing it? Are there any more than what I've listed here? Same thing with goal 2, which we're starting to move into, attracting cats, crafting, etc. Players will need a reason to continue playing the game. Here are some assumptions. Here's, how do we plan on addressing them right now? We have addressed the collection of with a mailbox where players receive items. That was what we talked about previously. Now, that may not be true. You guys might say, nah, I want to really do the crystal garden. Um, but for now, I just put that in there because this section's still evolving. And then when we get done with that, we'll move on to goal 3 and elaborate on that a little bit. Once we get this section going, then I think the rest of it will fall into place a whole lot easier. Any questions? Okay, fabulous. I don't want to take up any more of your time than I have to. Um, that's all I've got. Does the art department, technical department, sorry, technical's next. Do you have anything, Shay Shay? Yeah. I mean, that'd be great. Yeah. Okay, so our department is having some. Hey guys, I think I am not capturing desktop audio for some reason. It's capturing my mic, but for some reason I'm not capturing desktop audio. Sorry. So take good notes on the agenda so that other people can see what you're talking about. I apologize. I don't know what's going on. I had it set up just like last week, but it doesn't seem to be working. Okay, so technical department, you're gonna do some prototyping stuff, and then you need toys from art department. Okay. 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 So you're good to go. Um, so art department, you want to talk about what you need and what you've got? Okay. Mhm. Gotcha. Okay. Um, that being everybody present, does anybody else have anything else to say? Shay, is what he's talking about making sense to you? Okay. Because I got lost. So I'm sorry. I was like, visual needed. Yeah, anytime you guys want, if you feel like you are okay with it, we can switch and share your screen. So if you want to talk, obviously I can't get the voice to work today, but for next time I'll try to make sure that it'll work. And if you guys, have examples of things you want to talk about and want to show your screen, we can put that on the recording as well. Yeah, like the how things are working, like the prototype. Yeah, that'd be nice. Um, and David, your animations would be great to see. So maybe next time, if you guys have something to show, we can include that here so that we can talk about it on the screen. And that was kind of the intention with this, is to have something that we can share, not just my screen but your screen as well, because I can toggle to your screen if you hit screen share. Does that make sense? Right now I'm just looking at your icons, but okay. Well, I think the only thing left that I wanted to mention was I edited this the design budget. It looks like Art already figured it out. There's a tab for each department, and if you've got a goal for the week, something that you want to do, please post it in here as a task and give an estimated time budget for it. And you know, your time budget is like the overall amount of time that you have to spend on the project for the week, the time estimate for this item, and then what remains to work on something else, just in case, something else comes up. You can see how much time, or somebody else can see how much time you have. So hopefully those little changes will help. I'm actually considering, and maybe you guys want to have some input on this, do you think it would be a good idea to add this into the design document so we don't have a separate file? Okay. All right. Then I will add these departments lists to your or to the design. Where are you? Design document. Sorry. Under each, so artwork, you'll get your own. Technical will get their own. Sound will get their own, etc. So there'll be a list at the. I'll just put it at the top, so that you guys can add things to it, and then we can change that every week. So everybody has a list of goals on the design document, and we know how much time everybody has. And if there's a better way to do it, please let me know. I'm all ears. I'm just trying to figure out ways that we can, work with estimating time and also communicate better. So, all right. Great job, guys. Sorry that I didn't get your voices recorded in here. You had some good discussion going on. I'll figure that out for next time. Yeah, I apologize. I really hate hearing my own voice, and then just to hear me like pausing in between things. It's probably going to be really awkward. So, yeah, like, oh, good. It sounds like that crazy person walking down the road talking to themselves. But it is what it is. So I'll try to fix it for next time. And yeah, any suggestions, comments, whatever, let me know. I'm doing my best to try to help figure out ways to make this a little more streamlined. Y'all are doing a great job. Woo! Yeah, just yeah, and I liked it. I thought that it was really effective, and I really want to do it again. So I'm really hoping, and just in case some people are wondering what we're talking about, Tuesday night we're gonna try to do something, but we got to coordinate that. So look for information in the general chat under the project for what might be happening Tuesday. All right. Sounds good. Y'all have a good day. Enjoy your Father's Day. All right, bye.